I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. Rayn is here. Hi, Rayn.
Hello, Eric.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on. Please introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, my name is RaynRaynGoAway. You can just call me Rayn. I'm a puzzle and roguelike VTuber, and I'm the owner of the Windy Kitty Cafe.
Yeah, you'll see. I imagine it's a picture of the cafe on the thumbnail, which you provided, which is very excellent, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
It's certainly better than anything I would ever put together. I appreciate it anytime anybody else who can really do art does things for me. But so how long have you been a VTuber?
Oh, I've actually only been a VTuber for what now? About 7 months. I started in late October, early November. And the way I got into VTubing was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So
how'd you do that?
It all started with what was that?
How'd you do that? How'd you get in?
Oh yeah. So it all started with a webcomic that I used to read. I eventually joined a Discord and became a moderator there. The authors eventually joined up, and I met with them. They're the comic book authors, and they had a friend in Texas that wanted to move up here in the Chicagoland area where we're all from, and in exchange for having him stay at our place for like 2 months, I got a VTuber model.
Oh, well, there you go. That's a pretty wild trade. That is very unique.
It was very interesting because I never really I've always loved VTubers, so I was kind of introduced into VTubing with HoloLive, and later on with some more independent VTubers. Yeah. And I've always thought about doing it, but when the opportunity came, I was just like, okay, yeah, sure, let's do it.
So you were just kind of waiting for an invitation.
Yeah, it really felt like that.
and the invitation dropped you out of nowhere. Now then you didn't have an excuse.
Yeah.
Get out and do it. So how long did it take for you to be comfortable with it? Or are you comfortable with it right now?
Yeah, I would say that maybe my first month I was still, I don't know, getting the ropes, figuring out the tech and whatnot. I've always been comfortable with talking in front of people. You know, in my work I'm client facing, which is weird to say as so I'm an engineer in real life, software engineer. So oftentimes the software engineer is the nerd in the corner that's not doing anything, but I'm actually very customer facing. So talking for me is relatively natural, but the talking while trying to move this or do that and my specific genre that I decided to get into of puzzle games also made talking hard because it's hard to try to carry a conversation while you're trying to figure out all the logical bits of the game that you're playing.
Oh yeah, especially if you got a time limit or something on it. That would be that you're just adding extra mayonnaise to the sandwich when you're doing that sort of thing.
Yeah,
really concentrate on that sort of. So and you got started right into that, or did it take a while for you to find that kind of niche?
I started off kind of my main motivation was trying to do more music streams, playing piano while I'm singing or just singing karaoke type streams. But I realized that I couldn't maintain those streams for very long. After singing 2 hours straight, it's just okay, my voice can't really give anymore.
Yeah. It does hurt when you're actually, pushing it out there like that for a period of time. There's projection involved, and that requires muscles. And if
Oh yeah.
if they're not up to it and they're not trained, it's going to hurt after a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So did are you still doing the singing every once in a while?
Oh yeah, I usually I'm doing the singing about once a month. I'm trying to push that closer to once every 2 weeks as I build up my stamina. And yeah, it's been fun. And also like being able to I've been playing piano for over 20 years. I was a music major before I was a computer science major. So like it's I was hoping for VTubing to be more that creative outlet for me, and it's been a successful creative outlet.
Yeah, well, it's still very new in a way. I mean, there's still a lot of innovations to be had, in different ways to do it. I mean, you've seen there's so many people doing just so many different things with it, from just sitting down playing a game, sitting down talking, doing singing, concerts now. There's going to be more and more of those and show type things, I think, for certain. Cooking streams, lectures that people attend, question and answer sessions, interview shows that are actually being streamed live at the time, unlike this recording that goes up on YouTube. There's just a lot of things that are still on the table that can be either made easier or better. And you've kind of got a unique insight into that sort of thing, don't you?
Oh yeah. It's interesting you say like the different things that you can do while streaming. I know while VTubing typically you're not like showing yourself, but one thing that I have in a lot of my streams is I have my webcam on. Oftentimes the webcam is on my cat, one of my two cats that usually like to sit in because they're needy little monsters.
Oh yes. Yes.
So they might as well show off if they're gonna be huddling up next to me all the time.
Oh yeah, we've got 9 of them over here. We keep them away. Every once in a while, I'll look back and see a paw, a leg completely under the door, swatting at nothing, and trying to get to me. But I'm like, no.
Oh my gosh.
No. No, if they ever got him, they go immediately and start biting one of the cords, and I'm not dealing with that.
Oh my goodness!
And one of them is very orange, and he's kind of a Jethro. He doesn't really know his strength, and he doesn't really know what that means.
Yeah, I've got an orange too, and one of the scariest things he does, he learned really recently. He's like a 1-year-old cat right now.
Yeah.
He learned that he can dig his paws into a pocket door and then like stretch himself out to open said pocket door. So it used to be pocket doors were like, relatively safe to like, okay, I need to keep him away from the cooking or whatever. Now he can escape. So this little jerk.
Yeah. Wait a minute. They're not supposed to be that smart. What the heck?
I know.
Yeah.
They're supposed to have one brain cell, right?
Well, maybe it's a very big brain cell. Maybe that's the only thing he really knows at that point.
Yeah, well, yeah, he only knows food. He only knows that food is delicious and he must have it at all times.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's all cats. I can tell you that. When it comes food time for all 9 of them, usually there's 7 eating and 2 fighting over the last one. Okay, we'll separate you for a while and get away from that. So what type of you say you do puzzles and roguelike games. So what's an example of that?
One of the latest games that I've been playing is Lingo 2. So it's almost like a giant crossword puzzle that's like in a 3D environment. The space itself is like, it's all colorful and stuff, but the big thing is that it's a almost liminal space. It's a non-Euclidean space where like, you go in one direction and then like, it's like that, when you turn the USB 180 and then you're like, okay, it doesn't fit. And then you turn the USB again 180 and you're like, it doesn't fit.
Yes.
And then you turn it one more time and suddenly it fits and you're just like, what the heck?
Yes.
So it's got a lot of those moments and you're mixing that in with word puzzles. Basically, there's hidden rules that you have to discover on your own. And what's nice is when I choose which puzzle games to play or like what sort of things that I'd like to stream, I like to stream something that I'm okay with the audience backseating me on. So things like, for example, Blueprints is super popular right now.
Yeah.
I made sure that I made a lot of progress on my own before starting to stream that, so that at least if I had some, spoil sports in the chat, I would at least have had some of the aha moments on my own.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And that sounds like the word games would be something I'd be interested in. I am a Scrabble player myself, and I would love to do that
cool.
sort of thing. I actually, at one point, this is a rare true fact. At one point, I was the 83rd ranked Scrabble player in my class in Illinois.
Oh wow.
83rd. I finished second in the tournament and took home $50, which was nice, for playing Scrabble.
Dang. And so it's interesting that you mentioned competitive Scrabble. I've never been able to kind of put that together. The sheer word bank that you have to develop and like kind of the area control skills around the board.
Oh yeah.
I have friends that play competitively, and I'm just like, I do not get it at all.
They're scary.
I know.
You give them 7 letters and they may not have the ability to balance a checkbook, but they'll give you 6 different ways to use X's and Z's that you never thought of before. And I just, for some reason, I've been playing it since I was 8, so I just enjoy it so much. And those are the type of puzzle games that I enjoy, and I used to do crosswords all the time, and that sort of thing. So that game you mentioned, that might be right up my alley. I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, for sure.
What are some of the other ones that you've been playing?
I've also been playing a little bit of the so like I mentioned Blueprints earlier. Peglin is one of my favorite roguelikes that I've been playing. It's kind of like my comfort game that I go to when I'm like, okay, we've ended stream early because we finished a game early or something like that. Let's do a couple runs of something.
Yeah.
One of the advantages of roguelikes, you just get, if I need a run or two or something to fill out the time for the stream that I need.
Yep.
It's great. And so Peglin's basically take Peggle and turn it into like a little RPG where you play as a little goblin, like shooting down little pegs to attack the enemies coming in.
Ah, okay. A little twist on Peggle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you played the game Luck Be a Landlord?
Yes, I have.
Yes. So have you? Is that one that you enjoy?
Yeah, it's super fun. I like. It's very tactical, right? Because you don't have like full control over kind of like your first starting symbols that you're adding to the slot reel.
Yeah.
And so being able to adapt to that is super fun.
Yeah, I've got it on my phone and my computer. And anytime I'm out in public, if somebody pauses for a couple seconds, I put that on.
Nice. That's a Balatro for me on my phone.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that working. I actually, when it first came out, they've updated the game a few times to kind of nerf some things, and I ran it up the score so large that it ran completely off the screen, the computer screen.
Oh man,
I had so many multipliers and things going on, and the color, it changed colors, and you couldn't even. I had 13 wild cats on the screen that were all multiplied by the millions. I mean, I'd run out of things to call how many numbers I had on the screen, and I sent.
Well, you're only 4 cats away from hitting that 13 that you had that run.
Oh yeah. It was crazy, and I had. It was that and rabbits with the moon that could, I had like 4 moons and 1 rabbit, and all of the things were multiplying. Everything was multiplying itself. I sent that to the folks who put the game out, and they said it was one of the most was it cursed things they'd ever seen.
It's an unusual combination because those are the kind of things where you think, okay, I'm gonna, start early game and I'm gonna pivot away from it.
Mhm.
But you really just leaned into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, let's take this up to 11 sesquiquintillion and just keep going and see how far we could go. So they finally put the scientific notation in it. They didn't have it in there before. But
Oh, okay.
they saw people taking it so far off the screen. They said, "Okay, now we're going to give this." So, I mean, you can still play it, but you're not going to see all the numbers change every time. It was actually breaking the game in some instances.
Yeah.
But it's fun. And when I first started playing, they didn't have the 20 levels to go up either. There was just like 5.
Hmm.
It does make a huge difference with that. I suggest people give it a shot if they like that type of game. It'll take up your time.
Yeah, it's a super fun game, and like kind of like you said, a lot of the fun comes from just like you feeling like you're breaking the game. Obviously, the devs did, some sort of work to accommodate for it, right? They added scientific notation or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But that feeling of like I'm so smart that I just broke the game. Like it's that same thing in like Balatro when you just have like the giant multiplier that makes the score tick to infinity.
Yeah. It was what's tough about it is it'll take you a year to do it again because it's just how it sorts itself out. If you just don't get the right thing, if you set yourself up for having 2 dwarves and they never show up, you're not going to make your rent. That's all there is
I
to
know
it.
it feels so bad.
Or if you get a pinata and no school kids, it's pretty useless.
Yep.
Yeah, it's I think the weirdest build I had to make it was one with the with all black clubs and spades.
Mm-mm.
That's not easy to do.
Yeah.
It's tough to get all that for one, and then find anything that really will multiply it very well, and get to the things.
And that's the thing I really like about these puzzle roguelikes, that they just really allow you to, creatively explore, like, maybe I could get this to work, even though it seems kind of garbage right now.
Yeah. You have to be patient. You have to do it at the right time, because if you pull something too early, it's not going to work. It's devilish in a way. You get too greedy, and it's just not going to happen. But
yeah, and those times of like being too greedy and stuff, like that's what I think like makes puzzle roguelikes so much fun to stream.
Yeah.
Because you're admitting to the audience that I'm not sure that this is going to work. You're probably making fun of me for my suboptimal strategy, but I just want to let's just see what happens. Let's see. Let's watch the thing blow up.
Yeah. And 2 spins later, it's gone. Oops. I've actually used the gold bomb once. When I was there was just no hope, and it hit the right stuff, but then I had nothing to go on for the next one. It blew up everything enough I made it one more round, but that didn't help.
You got that short term game though.
Yeah, the short term I had Turkey. But would you rather have a puzzle that lasts a good long time, one puzzle, or a game where you have to do several puzzles over a period of time?
So I have a preference for a game where I can do several puzzles over a long time. But when I'm like scheduling stuff, I like to balance having a game like that's kind of like week to week that's happening, and then smaller roguelikes or puzzles that, just 1 or 2 sessions just to keep, a variety of things happening.
Yeah. I think that really for a lot of those, you just have to bank on the independent makers for the most part. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of big companies that are going for that. Although I would think it would be fairly cheap to make and easy to distribute.
Yeah, you would think so, but I think a lot of the times it's like coming up with the key idea, that like the main gameplay loop, right?
Yeah.
A lot of these main gameplay loops are actually pretty simple at heart, but like hard to get the details right.
Right. That's why they keep updating them as they go.
Yeah.
And now if you get the cat alongside the boy, the cat won't suddenly turn into a rock. I mean, it's it's that little bit of you don't really have the quality testing that you would at a major corporation. Even though that doesn't always necessarily give you a bug-proof game, Bethesda. But but you still
Fallout 3 had 0 bugs. Vegas had no bugs whatsoever.
Oh no, not a single bug at all. One giant big bug. but no individuals.
Yeah, I remember fighting several big bugs in that game.
Yes, exactly. I enjoyed myself with that game, but and that's probably about the level I can go with those type of games at this point, at this age.
Yeah, I actually used to play a lot more like twitchy games when I was younger, like a lot of it was CS 1.6 at the time. Kind of like, I guess what's referred to now as boomer shooter, but I don't want to call it that. I'm in my mid 30s now, and I'm like, I still feel very young.
Yeah.
But
well, compared to me, you are very young.
Some people on the internet might not think so.
Yeah. Compared to me, you are very young. So there you go. You can take that one home. But I played Fallout 1 and 2. And it took me a while before I got up enough gumption to get 3 in New Vegas. And I was like, boy, this is very different. I like it, but it's not turn-based hexagon movement or anything along those lines. It did take a while to figure that out, but once I didn't have to aim on my own, it was perfectly fine. When you're cross-handed, those games don't help.
Yeah.
And as a left-hander who had to use a lot of right-handed things, you get all messed up on that sort of thing very easily. Are there any other of those type games, as puzzle games, that you would recommend?
Let's see. I feel like a lot of people know about Slay the Spire, and then there's like a lot of I guess maybe not clones, but things that have a similar feel. So you have something like Cobalt Core, where you play as a little ragtag group of little animals that drive a little spaceship. Very cute art. And similar thing where you're playing cards to like shoot with your ship or bring up the shields of your ship.
Right.
And like a lot of these enemy ships have like a bunch of different, strengths and weaknesses that you have to work around.
Oh.
Lone Star is another similar one. Once again, roguelike ships playing card type things.
Yeah.
Diceomancer is another one that I like. This one's interesting because it's a card-based game, but you have this die that you can roll that you can change any number in the UI. So like even the boss's health, you can change their health to like, if you roll a 2, you're like, oh yes, let's set the boss's health to 2. So it just feels very, very cool. Like we were talking about the rule breaky feeling of roguelikes before. This one really like tries to dial that up to 11.
Wow. You're on the final boss. Now he's only got 2 hit points.
Yeah. Usually the bosses have abilities that make up for it. Like, when they hit a certain amount of hit points, they'll like, deal a bunch of damage to you, or they'll suddenly gain a giant shield or something like that. Yeah. So it accounts for that, but it still feels incredibly powerful.
It's one of those games where you have the that really, and I enjoy, is where you don't just have the positive things, but you can have something that has a positive and a negative to it. You have better chance to hit, but it's not going to do as much damage, or the other way around.
Yeah, and I love those games where you have those interesting decisions. Yeah. Especially like you said, when there's a positive and a negative. Yeah. And especially the ones that where the mechanics like actively push you to try different aspects. Like, we're going to give you something with tons and tons of shield and like 1 health. How are you going to deal with this?
I'm going to die over and over again. and get mad. That's what I'll usually do. But they won't give you a totally impossible thing to do. There's
Oh yeah.
yeah, they know better than that. They would give you a little chance anyway. Um,
Hmm.
the what would you call those games? I know there's some games where you get to a certain have are in an area that kind of reminds me of the old Robotron games, um,
Oh, okay.
where you're shooting around and around, everybody's kind of closing in on you, and you hit a certain level, and then you have three things to choose from. Would you call that kind of a roguelike?
Yeah, it has elements of that.
Yeah.
That's what makes roguelikes so great. Like you can have actiony roguelikes, you can have puzzly roguelikes.
Yeah.
Like when I was playing Hades for the longest time, it's like that's very much an action game. So um, there's an entire gamut. There's an entire range of stuff out there.
Yeah, yeah, and it just seems to me that when the independent folks get a hold of it, they have less hoops to jump through,
Hmm.
and they could be a little more um, inventive. Maybe isn't the right word, but they can try different things. That
Yeah, they tend to have, I guess, like a more focused vision, right? Because
Yeah.
they're not trying to appeal to the masses,
No,
right? If you have something that's a AAA game, you're like, okay, I need to hit all of these check marks so that we can sell, X amount of games. Whereas, like, a lot of indie games, well, at least the ones I play have a very distinct thing that they want to do, and they know that not everyone's going to love it, but the people that love it are going to really love it.
yeah, yeah, they're going to stick with it and play it over and over and over again. They're like me and Luck Be a Landlord. I'll play that until my phone stops working, and then I'll just get another phone and keep going with it. Um, and it's would you call them comfort games?
Yeah, for me, they're comfort games. If you heard me during stream, you would probably not think so as I'm yelling, and especially during the more actiony ones where I'm just like, panicking while getting through it, or yelling at chat for making fun of me while I die over and over again. But they are very much comfort games to me. There's something about being able to express mastery in a short amount of time, right? Like you died in 10 minutes, but now you learned something, so now you die in 15 minutes. Okay, like now you can kind of show your growth in real time, and I think that's what makes them interesting to stream.
Yeah, and but there's still just, especially with the roguelike, it's still that little bit of luck involved. And,
oh yeah, for sure.
And it's the luck of the draw, and most likely you're not going to have two games go the same way. You might finish the same way, but you'll have to take a different path to get from one to the end. And that sort of automatic replayability really bodes well for those type of games continuing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and will we see types of these types of games just keep adding on to themselves and updating, or will they come up with a part 2 or a different Luck Be a Landlord 2? Or would they think they'd do that, or just kind of update the game they have?
I think you kind of see that with something like Enter the Gungeon, where at this point there's been like so many updates and an incredible roster of guns and stuff. They recently announced Enter the Gungeon 2 that'll be coming out in 2026, I believe. And it's interesting. Like there's some people that are like, why didn't they just like add more? It doesn't look like they're doing anything that much different. And then you have the people that are like, no, we need a complete reset, and I want to have a new like set of puzzles to play with. And for me, I think with roguelikes especially, there is a lifetime for them where you can add on, bolt on, do whatever.
Right.
But at some point, the gameplay gets so convoluted or so bloated that it gets hard for like a newcomer to pick up, right?
Right.
And you need kind of that reset point.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that you'll see eventually something like that with a lot of the gotcha games too, where they kind of just add on another group of of people you can pick up, another group of armaments you can pick up. It you had to walk that fine line between sticking with a formula that works and then changing the tree into a forest that nobody recognizes. Yeah, it walks a fine line. But then again, there's an awful lot of pull to not try and do something that makes everybody angry. As if they come up with a game and people don't like the way it's done now, then you've lost an entire game there to that. Probably a lot more money too in the short term. And that'll be a tough, tight line for folks to draw as far as that goes. So I got a question for you. Given your job and your background in it, when you start a game, and do you look at how it's put together in a more critical eye than you would, say, if you weren't someone with a technical background?
Oh, this is interesting. For me, I feel like with games especially, the end product, I think, is more important. So I go back to this example of Undertale is like this, very beloved game, right?
Right.
The way it's coded is absolute garbage. It's got incredible inefficiencies to it.
Yeah.
But what do people remember? They remember the lovable characters. They remember the banging music. They remember, the journey and the uniqueness of the breaking of the fourth wall. So I feel like the experience is very much an important part of it.
That's very non-engineer-like of you.
I know. Outside of my work, I am very non-engineer-like. Outside of work, my main hobbies are figure skating. I'm a piano player. I still take piano lessons. I do jazz saxophone. And whenever I'm not at work, I try to stay away from programming.
Yeah. I don't blame you one bit. It anything like that, it'll just, I imagine that sticks in your brain more than you ever want it to after a certain point. And yeah, I think you're the first figure skater I've talked to in 30 years, probably. Was that something you wanted to do competitively, or is it just something you picked up?
Yeah. So what's funny? So let's go back to the story of the webcomic that I read. The webcomic I read was it's called Blades of Furry, and it's a like anthropomorphic animals doing like figure skating, like fighting, like almost like in an arena.
Okay.
And so when I met the authors, they were talking about how they wanted to do figure skating lessons once we became friends, and to help them with like anatomy and stuff. So I picked up figure skating. Turns out I really loved it. I rushed through all the like learn to adult skate levels really quickly. Like I skipped entire classes.
Yeah.
And I eventually got a private coach. That private coach I worked with like for now. This is going to be 3 years I've worked with her now.
Wow.
I have a choreographer. I have a jumping coach. I've done competitive figure skating, competitive adult figure skating for 2 years now after picking it up at the age of 32.
Hey, that's wonderful. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's something else. I would be so scared to just stand on the skates, let alone do something like that at this point.
Oh my gosh. I think the hardest part about adult figure skating is realizing that you're the one that has to pay for the insurance and not your parents.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
A lot of adult figure skaters are like, we're just happy that we're not injured.
That's definitely true. Now, with the figure skating, does that include the dreaded figure eight performance?
So with figure eights, so they're the figure part of figure skating comes from originally competitions where you had to draw specific things into ice,
right?
Like the figure eight.
Yeah.
nowadays, figure skating is more about doing, those programs that you see in the Olympics. Like,
Right.
Music is playing and you're, doing jumps and spins.
Yeah.
At the different levels of competition, you're required to do different types of jumps, different types of spins.
Mm-hmm.
And you're judged on the quality of your skating, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the old Olympics where they'd show they wouldn't show the figure part of the figure skating unless something ridiculous happened, like somebody fell over during it or something, and it damaged their standing, and they would definitely just show the two music type of thing later, and people were like, "What is the figure part of the figure skating?" Well, that was it. That was probably, I would imagine, in the early days of the Olympics and that type of competition, that was the main part. You, you didn't have people out there, coming up with rock music versions of things to skate to. So, how many axles can you do?
How many what that skated?
Axles. How many spins can you do in the air?
Oh, how many spins can I do? So I can do all of my jumps. So the jumps being sow cow, toe loop, flip, Lutz, and axle. Mm-hmm. So I can do singles of all of those, and I'm currently working on my double jumps. I had a very vain goal when I started figure skating because I was like, okay, when people see me do a single jump, I bet you they're thinking, oh, maybe I could do that too. But if I can show them that I can do a double jump, they'll be like, yeah, that person knows what they're doing.
Yeah. I am amazed at the athletic ability that has to be done with that. Because I mean, let's face it. First of all, most of us can't even stand on skates, let alone go any place with it. Now you're moving in a direction on purpose and leaving the ground on purpose.
Yes,
and then landing.
The toughest part with that is oftentimes to get more points, you'll do like tricky changes of directions or turns before the actual jumps or spins, to make yourself look a little fancier. So it's not about just going in a straight line and then jumping. It's jumping or moving forward, doing a turn, showing off to the judges a little bit before, right before you do the jump, and give them you give them, my coach says, give them a look like you knew exactly what you were doing. And
even if you didn't.
Performance adds so much to the sport.
And so many people don't know exactly what the judges are looking for in that sort of thing. And they might see just a little spin on something and well, what was that for? It didn't look like anything. Well, that may be because you're showing a particular aspect. You may be actually either gaining or taking away momentum for something and making a jump coming up easier or harder for you. There's you guys out there, you're not wasting time.
We don't have I only got 2 minutes and 10 seconds to do 7 jumps and two spin combinations. So I can't waste any time.
Wow, that's really awesome. I mean, congrats to you for doing that.
Thank you.
That's really cool, and taking it by the horns and going for it and competing with it. That's amazing.
It's been really fun, especially because a lot of the adult skaters out there are very supportive. And when apparently the kids, it's they're very, and not catty, but they're very competitive with each other. Where a lot of the times my competitors are clapping louder than my coaches, oftentimes, and I know I'm clapping as hard as I can for them too.
It's kind of it's a little different when it comes up to this sort of thing. I imagine the younger folks and the teenagers and that are going through it are like the sometimes they end up like the idol groups in Japan and Korea, where they're just isolated and it's in their entire lives and that sort of thing. And it you end up seeing what happens to some of the folks who take it too far sometimes. But to see that you've grabbed it and really taken off with it, that's pretty amazing. It really is, and my hat's off to you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and And you can keep doing that. I'll keep staying off the ice. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I'll watch it on TV, okay?
Okay.
I'm not going to get near it. So what do you want to do now with your channel that you guys have? You got some big events coming up? Have you got a big plan?
Yeah, so actually coming up, and it might have passed by the time this comes out, but I'm doing a fundraiser for Rainbow Railroad, which
Yes.
is an organization that relocates people from unsafe countries or areas to one that's more accepting of them.
Right.
And I'm working with like 50 other VTubers. It's been super cool collabing with people.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's one. Thank you for that. For doing that. That's the good stuff there. That's when you're able to help folks in a way and still do what you enjoy and have fun doing it and everybody gets behind a cause like that and helps out. That's even something you get back that isn't suddenly having 10,000 people show up in a raid.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's one of those things where I think it's like one of my bigger goals that I have for being a VTuber is that I'm fortunate enough, I'm privileged enough to be in a situation that like I don't need this for spending money or anything. This is a pure hobby for me. It's been super fun. I did not think I would hit like affiliate in like 2 months. I thought I was just gonna like be talking to my friends online, but being able to connect with so many other people and being able to like merge communities with each other and I'm hoping to take all of that and then be able to help other groups. There's a lot of different causes that I'd like to raise money for, and it's a direction I want to take my channel in the future.
Yeah, that's you keep shining with that 'cause that's good stuff. That's the good stuff. Rayn, thank you so much for being on. It's great talking with you, and we actually, folks, didn't know that we actually had some places we've hung out at in common in the past.
Yeah, I know. It was cool realizing that.
Yeah, it's just pretty hilarious, and although different generations for sure. Yeah, but it's cool to talk with somebody who's been through here and is doing so well in many different things. You can, I think if you do this, you can consider yourself I'll consider you a success, even if you don't consider yourself that for doing this.
Well, thank you so much.
You're really doing great stuff, and congratulations with all that. Come back, and we'll get you back soon, and we'll talk more about what's happening.
Come back. Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.